guys, on Ask Japanese, it's Cathy Cat. I asked you to send me some questions about Japan, and today I'm gonna answer some of them for you guys. This time it's gonna be about being a foreigner in Japan. One of the questions we have here is, not as a tourist, but actually living there, what some of the stuff one must pay heed to. So what do we need to be careful about? There are quite a lot of things. You know already, taking your shoes off when you go into houses. Another thing, if you are actually at someone's house or if you go to an onsen, wash yourself thoroughly, make sure everything is clean before you actually go into the bathtub. Other things are, for example, there are not as many garbage cans around. So if you have garbage and you don't find a place to throw it away, you will have actually to carry it around with you until all the way in the evening, so you can throw it away at home or at the hotel. That is one of the things that some people don't do, and I've seen a couple of people doing that. Be careful, don't do that. Also, smoking, you're not allowed to smoke while walking. Many places actually smoking is completely banned outside, while there are smoker restaurants. So if you're a smoker, be sure to go to the designated smoking locations in Tokyo as well, as one of the things. And again, similar things like standing in line. Japanese people do stand in line for the trains and such. Be sure that you do that. Generally, just have a look around you. What are the Japanese people around you doing? And try to pay attention to that. Manners and good manners, as such as also lots of politeness, are very, very important here in Japan. So quite a lot of things, many more than I just told you. So please look it up and be sure to check out maybe some of our videos where we tell you more about that. Which prefectures in Japan would you recommend as Gaijin friendly? I've heard that Osaka and Kyoto are popular for new jets, but they are probably filmed to the brim with jets and other Gaijins. What other prefectures would be conducted for Gaijin to reside so that they may enjoy their residence, working life in Japan? No, first of all, filled to the brim with jets. I'm not sure what kind of image you have, but Osaka and Kyoto are huge cities, probably a lot bigger than the city you are living in, and the amount of foreigners is still in percentage a lot lower in Japan than in many other countries. So the likeliness of you being surrounded by all those jets is relatively low unless you are part of the jet program. Usually jets tend to stick together and some of them then stay on for longer. So that is one thing I wouldn't worry so much about. But you said you would like an area to enjoy your life. I'm sure you enjoy your life whether other Gaijins are around or not. It depends on if you really want to avoid Gaijins, go to the countryside. In the countryside, you'll probably be by yourself. You have enough time to study Japanese without other people maybe speaking English to you. So if that's what you'd like to do, go into the rural areas, the countrysides, for example, Niigata and such. It's kind of cold there, but many people like it there a lot. Hiroshima on the countryside as well, fairly popular amongst people as well. If you don't mind other foreigners being there with you, Osaka, Kyoto, Tokyo are definitely very foreigner friendly because quite a lot of foreigners live there. So it might be easier for you to get an apartment because some places will not give you an apartment if you are a foreigner. So there are quite a lot of things you have to look into. Generally, from my foreign friends from pretty much all the prefectures all around in Japan, I've heard very, very positive things from people. There's barely any problems with the locals that you have. So if you respect the locals, keep up the manners, and you behave okay, then generally the locals will be lovely to you as well. Is it possible for a foreigner to become a famous vocalist or musician, start a new band? And do you need permission to play music on the streets of Tokyo? It is possible. There are some cases, obviously not as much known as many others, but there's one band, for example, Monkey Magic. They were fairly large. They came from Sendai, so your chances are better if you actually go to the biggest cities, starting a band and maybe getting actually seen. Also, if you play out on the streets of Tokyo, yes, you do need a permission for that, so you need to have a look into that. You can't just build things up and then actually play music. So if you are interested in starting a band, there are also many live houses, which are gigs where bands come together. Also, there are other practice areas here in Tokyo where you're allowed to practice your instruments, because you can't practice your instruments at home. That's an important one, because the walls are thin and you're going to cause a nuisance to your neighbors. So if you actually want to practice your music, either you do it in a park or you have to actually go to the practice spaces, and those practice spaces have really thick walls, and they're usually posters up where people try to recruit members for vocalists and such. I myself have made that experience because I was in a band for a short time, and there were loads of other little flyers where you can take a number and maybe apply for other bands if you're interested in that. Is it possible for a foreigner and not from an English-speaking country to work on animation manga industry in Japan? Yes, actually it is possible. I know certain cases. Actually, one of my old bosses started first doing animation before he actually worked on YouTube. However, the thing you have to consider is that the animation industry in Japan is incredibly harsh and very, very, very competitive. You don't get paid that much and similar things as that. So what many animators do, they still have to live with their parents because the payment is so low, or sometimes if there's a deadline, they will have to sleep in the office because it's a really, really harsh and competitive industry, and going up you'll need loads of years of experience and similar things like that. So you will have to literally deal with a lot of sacrifices. I personally know a lot of animators that say it is quite harsh, but if it's really what you love doing, then you can do it. There is a possibility, but be sure that you don't go in expecting lots of money and lots of fame for it. So it's not enough to just like anime and manga and work in the industry. You really have to put the hours in, and you actually have to have certain skills to bring to the table. Just liking it, unfortunately, is not enough. Now, the director and I had a quick chat about that too, especially since you said you want to publish your own manga. That might actually be possible in your country. Have you actually considered that? There are in many countries actually companies that will publish manga from people in their own country, and you'll actually get a boost for that because there's certain pride, a country pride here. While actually releasing manga in Japan, that might still be a hobby. It's really hard to make a living with manga in Japan. I actually recommend you to watch Bakuman or read Bakuman. It really explains how hard it is actually to work in the manga industry in Japan, and it is actually a manga/anime that teaches you a lot about the industry. If you're curious about that, please sure to check it out. So I hope that answered a couple of questions about being a foreigner here in Japan. You will have more chances to ask me questions and get some responses. Be sure to wait until we actually have that in our community tab. So be sure to be subscribed and have the notifications clicked on so you can see when I do another post requesting your questions. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you soon for another video on Ask Japanese. Bye!